Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to a new vlog. I'm Lee from Mortgage Free Lee. I talk about money and mum life on the internet, and today we are doing my December budget and it is going to be interesting. I'm a little bit worried about this if I'm being honest, because I don't think I've talked about this on here. I've definitely mentioned it on my Instagram. I recently, starting as of the start of November, reduced my hours at work. So I am now working 20 hours a week, which is effectively like 50% of my full-time hours. I was working 27 hours a week before that. So obviously I've taken a pay cut, and I had an estimate as to how much I was going to be making so that I could kind of decide whether or not to do this in the first place and plan for it. Now, there's been a slight spanner in the works. I think my estimations were probably about right, but in October, I took a week's unpaid parental leave, and I expected that to all come out of my last paycheck. Unfortunately, it for some reason has been split across two paychecks, so I'm £150 down in the first month off of my new salary. So I have got significantly less money than I thought I was going to have, and I'm a little bit worried about how we're going to make this work. It was always going to be a bit nerve-wracking anyway, working on like new pay, to unexpectedly find out you have £150 less the first time you're trying to navigate it. It's not great. What I will acknowledge is that I do have a very good full-time salary, so where I start from when it comes to being part-time is a really good place. But like anything, it's a transition. We still have really high childcare bills, so it's going to be a transition and we need to get used to this as a family. It's also Christmas, so the next time I get paid after this paycheck is going to be like a few days before Christmas. So that's not really a paycheck that you can use for sort of like planning Christmas, because it's too close to Christmas, if that makes sense. So the paycheck we're going to be budgeting off today is my November to December paycheck. I get paid at a weird time in the month, but more of the month is December than it is November. So we're going to call this my December budget. I hope you're with me so far. I think it's important that I explain from the start how we budget. So we budget as a household. So the numbers that you're going to see today are mine and my husband's income combined. Basically, all of our money goes into one pot as a household, and we budget as a household from there. Now, this always causes like a little bit of controversy. It doesn't mean we have a joint account. We actually don't have a joint account. We've never had a joint account, and I have no desire to get one. Somebody asked me, how do I know that my husband's not racking up debts, and how do I know what my husband's doing with his money? And honestly, the answer is, if I say to my husband, can you please give me your phone open on the banking app? He absolutely will. It's not an issue. If he was going to rack up debt secretly, he would find a way around this situation regardless. So having a joint account is not going to protect you from your partner being irresponsible with their finances. That's just my opinion. I'd love to know yours. Drop them in the comments. It also does not mean that we don't have access to our own money. So when I say we budget as a household, I think people think that means all the money goes in one pot and we don't have access to our own money. That's not how it works. Essentially, what I do is I will budget all of our fixed expenses, all of the things that we need to put money aside for, and then I leave us both with a similar amount of money in our individual bank accounts. We have the ability to spend that money with our own discretion. Obviously, if one of us is going to buy something large, we'd probably talk to each other about it, but for like, you know, getting lunch at work, going to the coffee shop, need to buy an item of clothing, etc., we've got access to our own money. I don't believe that anyone, especially women who are not necessarily earning income because they are taking care of the children, should have no access to cash. It's just not something I believe in. Again, possibly a slightly controversial topic, but that's just how I feel. Again, I'd love to know what you think. So, we get paid, all of our money goes into one pot, and we budget out from there. I like to budget in a particular order. So the first thing we do is fixed expenses. That is the bills. That is the things that we are going to get in trouble for not paying, like our mortgage, the council tax, the electric bill, all that kind of stuff. That is the first thing that goes on the list. After that, I move on to sinking funds. So we have two main sinking funds, which I'll talk about in more detail as we go through it. But essentially, our sinking funds are where we're saving small amounts of money over the course of the year for things that we know are going to come up, but they're only going to come up once. So they're not like a bill where we're paying it every month. It's like a holiday or Christmas. It's a one-off expense, but it is going to happen. So we need to save over the course of the year for that expense. So that is what we call our sinking funds. Then the final part of our current budget is our variable expenses. So the money left is what we have to live off. Food, petrol, fun, miscellaneous items, that is what we have to live off. So we are going to do my December budget. Let's fill this spreadsheet in. We are going to figure this out together because I am not sure that our income is going to meet our planned outgoings this time. So we've got a bit of problem solving to do. I do already have a couple of ideas for where we can fix it. So fingers crossed, let's get into it. I'm using a budget spreadsheet. I bought it on Etsy. I think it cost me 74p. I will put the link to the budget spreadsheet in the description box. It will be an affiliate link just so that you know. But I'm using that budget spreadsheet and I find it perfect for my needs. I do not like to overcomplicate things. I need it to just be super simple, and I feel like this is perfect for what I need. So the first thing we're going to do is change the month. So we're going to put December because, as I explained, more of our pay month is going to be December than it is November. So we're going to change the dates to be the date we get paid and the day that this budget is going to run until, which is the 17th of December. As you can see here, I budget off £4,600. That is my budget plan usually. First off is going to be figuring out how much money we're actually bringing in this month. So this needs to change because this is based off of our old budget. So I used to budget off a salary of £1,950. I'm not going to be making that much money anymore. I suspect I'll be making around 1,700. So that is what I'm going to put in as my new budget amount. And I'm going to leave my husband's the same because I'm not 100% sure if anything has changed there. So I'm going to leave that as it is. He might actually get paid slightly more, but at the moment I'm not sure what that is. So I always like to budget off the least likely amount because I don't want to be overly optimistic. I'd rather be a little bit pessimistic, and then any extra money is a bonus. So that's taken us to £4,350. I'm pretty sure our usual outgoings are more than that, so this is going to be interesting. I'm just going to get up the amount that we're actually getting paid this month, so let me check. So my husband is being paid a little bit more than usual. Why does it say that? There we go. So my husband is being paid a little bit more than usual this month, and I just need to check my own. £1,563.12, which is about £150 down on what I should have been being paid. That brings us to £4,533.30, so that's actually better than I thought it was going to be, which is a good sign. So as I said, the first section I like to start with when I'm budgeting is fixed expenses, so our bills. And you can see here everything that we have in our bills. Now I have hidden a lot of the amounts for financial security reasons, but I have left a couple in because those are ones that we're going to look at and talk about specifically. In our fixed expenses, you can see we have council tax, we have Netflix, we have our mortgage, which is our second highest expense next to childcare, which we'll see shortly, TV license, water, broadband and phone. We have pet insurance for our cats. Now this is one that we need to talk about. Let me tell you a cautionary tale. I have 3 cats and they are all senior cats now. They are all over 10 years old. My oldest cat is 14. We have had these cats insured at a very high level for their entire lives, and we have never actually needed to claim on our pet insurance. We've swapped insurers on and off, especially over the last few years, because they are getting older, and it is getting to the point where if there is something wrong with them, certainly for my 2 eldest cats, it's not likely to be something that we are going to be treating because it wouldn't be fair on them because of their ages. They are senior cats. 14 is apparently the average life expectancy of a cat. That is how old my oldest cat is. So up until October this year, we were insured at this high level with a particular insurer. My husband decided to reduce the level of cover for the reasons that I've explained. So he took out a new policy with the same insurer. This is the key here. He took out a new policy with the same pet insurer. Because of the way he did it, he changed the levels of cover, it resulted in our old policy finishing and then our new policy started. So it's back to back, continuous cover, but technically, even though it was with the same insurer, it was an old policy and a new policy. There is a clause in the pet insurance, and in most pet insurance I believe, that if your pet becomes ill, that is one of my cats sneezing right now, if your pet becomes ill in the first 14 days of a new policy, you are not covered. What do you think happened? My cat became ill in the first 14 days of our policy, and we were not covered. Now, I had a big issue with this. I completely understand why that clause exists. It is to stop people discovering their animal is ill, buying pet insurance and then going, oh look, they just got ill. But clearly by the fact that we were insured with the same insurer right up until the day that it switched over to the new policy, that's not what was going on with us. So I raised a complaint. It is not sorted yet, so I'm not counting my chickens, but we were able to reinstate our previous policy and cancel the new one. What that does mean is we have had to increase the amount that we are spending on pet insurance, because the reason we were changing it was because the amount was going up by so much. So it was £52.39. We had reduced it so that it wasn't going to go up to the new amount, which is £77.95. So that is actually going up, which is not necessarily the news that I wanted. However, my vet bill for the vet visit is over £1,000 and I would like some of that money back. So fingers crossed we get that back. So I'm going to have to change this amount to £77.95, which is going to increase our fixed expenses, which is not really what we want right now. We also have gas and electric, we have Spotify Premium, we have swimming lessons for my daughter, we've got YouTube Premium, we've got rainbows. Then we have 2 services. I've spoken about these before. We've got a gardener because what we were finding is with 2 small children, it's practically impossible for us to get a chance to do the gardening amongst everything else that goes on in life when you've got 2 young children and you're working parents. And we were going out to the garden and not being able to enjoy it. And that is not what you want when you've got young kids, because we would just start mowing it, doing jobs in it, and it is worth its weight in gold to pay for the gardener. That is the one service I would fight tooth and nail to keep. Obviously, it's an expense. They come in the summer period every other week, so it works out to around £50 a month. However, it's now the winter period and they have a break, so they're not going to be coming at all. So we can remove this from our budget for the next couple of months, which is amazing, and that will help to offset the increase with the pet insurance. The cleaner I've left in there because I mentioned the last time that we did this, we were looking at reducing our cleaner visits, so she is now coming once a month instead of every other week, and that's taken down the cost to £41 because we pay her and we also pay the company that supplies her, because presumably if she took us on as direct clients she wouldn't be able to work for the company that supply her, and we're not the only client she has, so that's what we do. We've got cancer research, we've got some cloud storage, we've got mobile phones, we've got the window cleaner, we've got Prime. Then we've got our childcare bill, which is bonkers. So we pay just under £700 for he's in nursery 4 days a week. So I have Mondays with him, I do 2 days at my regular job, and then I have 2 days self-employed work, aka content creation. We've got his 15 hours in September, which has been a great help because before that our childcare bill was over £1,000 a month. I'm not honestly really sure how we were managing that, but that is one of the only reasons I've been able to reduce my hours more, because his childcare bill has gone down. My daughter also has wraparound childcare, breakfast club, after school club, 3 days a week. And then we have Disney Plus, which I am able to reduce because we got an offer that I think I mentioned last time I was going to do this, to get Disney Plus for £1.99 for the next 3 months. So I think that takes us right up until either the day before or the day after Christmas. So that takes a little bit off the budget. So as you can see, our total outgoings are £2,404.94, which is a lot. But if you consider that almost £1,000 of that is childcare and almost another £1,000 of that is our mortgage and our council tax, you can see where all the money goes in our house. When my child is not in paid childcare, I don't know what I'm going to do with all this money. I feel like I'm just going to be so rich. And you can see why I do this first, because I don't have an option about paying for the majority of those things. There are a couple of things on there like Netflix and YouTube, but really that is small amounts. Yes, saving £10 here and there is useful, but it's making the big savings or changes to income that's actually going to help us with our budget long term. So now we're going to move on to our sinking funds. On here it calls it savings summary. This is where I do my sinking funds. So I have two main sinking funds. I have a holiday sinking fund and I have an essential sinking fund. I don't like to make this too complicated. Some people have lots of separate sinking funds. They have like sinking funds for particular events. They have loads of pots. I can't do that. It boggles my mind a little bit too much. So I like to keep it simple and I have holidays and essential. I'll tell you what's an essential in a minute. So for holidays, we are going to budget £250 a month. That gets us £3,000 over the course of the year. Then I have an essential sinking fund. I have increased this several times, and next year I'm going to be seeing if it's the right amount because I would like to add some provision for school expenses. So school uniform, school trips, school photos. I've had 3 different sponsor forms for children in need, and I only have 2 children. I've had to buy raffle tickets. I have a tiny cup I have to fill with chocolate. Like it's honestly endless, especially I find this time of year is by far the worst. So October to December is by far the busiest when it comes to school in my experience so far, my limited experience, but I definitely feel it this year and I definitely felt it last year. So I would like to add that into our essential sinking funds. At the moment, it is mostly car expenses, so we don't pay like monthly car insurance or monthly car tax or anything like that. We do it all annually. So car insurance, car tax, car services, MOTs, house insurance, Christmas and birthdays. Those are the main things that are in our essential sinking fund. So we save £350 every month, and then when it gets to the point where the car service or the car insurance comes up, all concentrated around this time of year, it would be a nightmare if I was trying to find the amounts of money that I need right before Christmas for all these things. So sinking funds genuinely have changed my life. I say this every time. They have changed my budgeting life 100%. So that brings us to £600. And it all automatically calculates at the top of this spreadsheet. So I can see there's our income, that's our budgeted income, that's our actual income. These are our sinking funds and these are our bills. I can see that we have £1,528 left to play with. And I'm pretty certain that is going to be enough for our living expenses. So let's move on to those. Again, when it comes to variable expenses, living expenses, I like to keep it simple. So do what works for you, but for me, I like to keep it simple. I like broad categories. I just find it overcomplicates things for me and my brain doesn't like it if I have too many. The only thing I might consider changing is in my food budget, I also have household. So basically my food budget encompasses everything that you can buy from a supermarket. And I sometimes end up sort of beating myself up thinking, why have I spent so much money on food? But a lot of it is like toilet rolls, washing up stuff. It's not food, so it kind of skews that. So I might at some point change that to have separate food and household. The reason why I haven't and the reason why I might not is because I buy the things when I do the food shop, and I don't really want to, and nor can I afford the time to sit down and start figuring out, oh, that was £3.50 for this, and that was £5 for toilet roll, and separating it all out and doing, I just don't think I can do that. This is reminding me why I don't do it. So I guess we're just gonna have to maybe call this food and household. We budget £4.50 for food. What I will say is, for anybody who's going to message me and say, how on earth do you stick to £4.50 for food? We don't. We have had a lot of Gusto credit and we've been using that Gusto credit. I have no idea how much money we would be spending on food if we were having to buy those meals. Obviously, it wouldn't cost as much as it costs to buy Gusto because it would be much cheaper to buy it from a supermarket, but I don't know how much it would cost if we had to buy those meals. So I would say, whilst this is my food budget, it's not necessarily reflective of how much we spend, so bear that in mind. If we come to a point where we've run out of Gusto credit, I'm going to have to seriously overhaul our meal plans and food budget. But for right now, we're good. I don't want to be spending more than £500 on food. My kids eat at school and childcare a lot, so a lot of the cost is me and my husband, and I just don't think we need to be spending that much money. So for fun, I have been budgeting £225, and for miscellaneous, I have been budgeting £225, and for petrol, I was budgeting £250 because we were overspending. So was it £220 or was it £275? It might have been 275. Let's put 275 just to be on the safe side. So that comes to £1,175. And even though we haven't actually spent it at the moment, if I type those amounts into here, it will tell me what I would have left if I spent that much money. So we would have £350 left. I am actually really surprised at this because I 100% thought that our income wasn't going to cover our planned expenses. We have a small credit card balance, which is mostly the vet. At the moment, we don't know if we are going to have to deal with that expense out of pocket, if the insurance is going to pay it back. We also don't know how much the insurance will pay back because with our cats being older cats, there is a higher excess for us to pay back. So we don't know how much of that over £1,000 vet insurance bill we are going to be liable for. It could be all of it. It could be not much. I don't know. So that is on a 0% credit card. I'm not advocating using credit here. I'm just telling you how we manage the cash flow for an issue like that. We also have a couple of smaller expenses on there, and I would like to get those paid off with some of this money. I also would like to add a little bit to some of my variable categories because I don't feel we've been sticking to our budget. It is a really expensive time of year right now. We're coming into the Christmas period. We're really, really lucky that we're being invited to a Christmas light trail. So that means I don't have to pay for that. That is our Christmas experience. So I'm not going to have to pay for that because that's not currently within my Christmas budget. So that's going to definitely help with the cost of activities. But I feel like no matter what you do, this time of year is just more expensive. Me and my mum are going to go out Christmas shopping on the weekend. I've got my work's Christmas party to go to. These are expenses that I wouldn't normally have and costs that I wouldn't normally have. So I'm actually going to increase these sections just a little bit to try and offset what I expect to be a more expensive month. So let's do that now. I'm not going to increase the food budget because this is not actually my Christmas budget. I'm going to explain this all in a minute. This is not my Christmas budget. That is separate. So I'm not going to increase the food budget because the food budget here is solely for everyday food. So let's increase fun to 250. We'll increase miscellaneous to 250. I'm not sure what to do about petrol. Let's increase it to 300 because I feel like I'm putting petrol in all the time. And that takes us to 1,250, which leaves me with 278. I might put half of that 278 aside for the fact that me and my mum are going to go out this weekend Christmas shopping, we're going for a meal, these kind of unusual expenses, and I'm going to put the other half off the small balance of the credit card, which should pay most of it off because there's not too much on there. We can go over to the debt summary and sort of add, say, £150 on there to be the amount that we're going to pay off the credit card, and then I will see what that leaves me with. So £128 to take out with my mum this weekend. So I feel like this has worked out a lot better than I thought it was going to. I am so relieved, honestly. There's definitely been a couple of things in there that have saved my bacon. One being that my husband got paid a little bit extra. The other being that the gardener will not be coming because that's £50 back in my pocket, and a couple of the other little changes to expenses. So yeah, I'm actually breathing a little sigh of relief about that budget. That is my November to December, for the purpose of this video, December budget. I can tell you now there's absolutely nothing left of our money from this month to roll over. We need to get better at tracking our spending. And I actually wanted to mention an app to you that is absolutely going to help me do that. I've been using an app called Snoop. The best thing about Snoop is it is completely free. There is a free version of Snoop. That is the version that I am using. And basically what you do is you sign up to Snoop. I will put a link to sign up in my description box. It will be an affiliate link just so that you know. But it costs you nothing. And you sign up and you connect your bank account. So you connect your spending accounts. So I have a couple of my current accounts linked to that, and it tracks your spending automatically. It uses open banking, so it's read-only. It can't make transactions on your behalf. Don't worry about that. It tracks your spending automatically, and then You can categorize it into categories, so you can put it in like shopping, petrol. You get a couple of custom categories. I have one that is coffee shops from when we needed to cut down our coffee shop use, and we have. And the other really good thing about Snoop is you can have a merchant view, so you can switch it to merchant view and it will basically show you which shop or which retailer or which place you spent most of your money. Top of mind is always tax-free childcare. So it is a really good app if you want to get on top of tracking your spending. So I am going to be logging into Snoop daily to try and keep on top of our expenses. Anyway, if you want to sign up to Snoop, the link is in the description box. This is not a paid promotion. I am a Snoop affiliate though, but for a free app, I think it's amazing. So I'm going to be using that. The other thing I wanted to explain really quickly before we end this video is, this is not my Christmas budget. I think we're going to do a completely separate video with my Christmas budget. So as I mentioned before, within my essential sinking funds, I include Christmas. So for the last 12 months, we have been saving up for Christmas. So none of this includes Christmas gifts. And I also hope to fit some of the like extra Christmas food shopping into that Christmas sinking fund too. So I think we'll do a separate video for my Christmas budget. Do you want to see my Christmas budget specifically and for me to talk about how I manage the cost of Christmas, what I budget, what I'm going to spend? Do you want to see that video? Let me know in the comments. You have no idea how much dropping a comment on a video like this can help a little channel like mine. I'm Lee from Mortgage Free Lee. I talk about money and mum life on the internet, and I will see you on the next one.